Hi, this is B from Sorcery. So, of course, most of you already know that. I wanted to welcome you to this Patreon account and just to tell you that the last 2 days of you joining has been so encouraging. And I'm really excited. We've done our first collaboration, and that's in the process, so I can't really talk about it just yet. My glasses. You ever get spots in your glasses and you see right through them? Okay, so that's a lot of fun, and the process is getting refined so that it'll be easier for the next person. And so today what we're going to do, I'm going to make some really simple pumpkins. I always hesitate saying the word simple and easy, but I really think that they're easy. And I want to show you how easy they are. And the best part about this is, if you've saved all your little scraps of soap dough, this is the best way to use them. So anyway, thanks for being here, and let's get started. Okay, we're going to start making some pumpkins today, and maybe I'll throw a few squash in there for you too. So this color, this is soap dough, not a very big piece. You don't need a bunch. But if you have the book Soapcraft Inspiration, there's a spread in the center that has all the colorful pumpkins in there. And I included that, and it gave, I was really considering why I would add that versus add orange pumpkins in there. And there might be some orange pumpkins in there. Not overtly, but in there. Anyway, and I thought, well, because once you know, or at least put it in your mind, I never thought to make colored pumpkins. And I was really bored one day, and I just pulled out some of my scraps, and I thought, well, I'm just going to make pumpkins with these colors. And they turned out to be one of my favorite soaps. So, and that's one way that you can make a pumpkin. You can make a pumpkin soap for the holidays. Unique is by your color choices, because your color combinations will be very unique to you. And in that soap particularly, I put extruded some teardrop embeds in there. So if you don't know what an extruder is, this is one extruder, and there's little discs that go on the end, and then you can just push the soap dough out. And so I had little teardrops in there because I struggle with the injection teardrops in soap. So we're just going to make little balls. I'm going to squish it a little bit because I like the sort of flat-ish pumpkin, but I also like the bigger, tall pumpkins too. So one of the things that I've seen here, let's make that a bit bigger, is that it's really to be neat-handed, I guess is what I'm struggling saying. Neat-handed techniques. And if you drag a tool across wet soap dough, you're going to get drag marks. And here I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I just do this, you can see right here there's drag marks on the either side. Now that's very different than if I do this. And even then, it's still not as clean. Now that is terrible. That's not clean at all. So if I let this dry just a second, which I'll show you how long it has to be let dry. So, and we'll start to shape these in a minute, but we want to let those dry just a bit. And maybe I'll make another. I really like this color. This color is made with white and neon purple, and I really like it. It's I make a color like this. Well, I have made it. We're now cleaning up all of our soap dough colors, and I have made a color like this. Not as bright. I think Iris is the one. It's a little bit duller. It's a very nice color, but it's not quite as bright as this. So, okay. And when rolling these balls, it seems like it would be so straightforward, but you want to make sure there isn't any cracks in it. It'd probably be a good idea if I put my glasses on. Okay, there. So it's my philosophy, if I'm going to make something with just a few embellishments on the top, let's say I'm going to make these pumpkins. I want these pumpkins not just to be made, I want them to be made as exquisitely as possible. And there's an aesthetic, and my guy reminds me that of he when I say these things to him, he brings up the idea of a Japanese tea ceremony, of how beautifully you can do something, and I think that's kind of cool. I have a long way to go until I master things, I can tell you that. So now I want to put some pinks. This is kind of a cool pink. So these are pink made with white. I think that one's, yeah. And it takes on a more chalky color. It's still very bright, but it's just a little bit more chalky. And it starts to come together, and you can, if you just make the colors with whatever you have and see what colors are there. So I wanted to experiment with this. I'm going to make this one a small, very small, squishy one. Okay, let's put that over there. And I need to. So I'm not sure. When I make a loaf of soap, it's generally, I can get about 10 bars from it. So I make 10, but then how I place them generally is pretty happenstance. What I like to do is either make a bar of soap and then add the embellishments after it's all cut, so that each bar is uniform, or if I can't do that based on the design of it, make them so there's a spray of things, like the Tangled soap I have. There's a spray of flowers, and then I could cut them uniform, cut right through the flowers. It doesn't matter about the top of the design. If you hear that clip clip sound, that's my dog thinking it's dinner time. He has a little bit of dementia, and anytime that he's awake, I think he thinks it's dinner time. Okay, so we've got those colors, which are kind of fun, and I thought I would toss this in. Now this is a really pretty old piece of soap dough. You can tell by how crinkly the plastic is. It smells fine, but I want you to see the waxy quality of it. It doesn't mean that it's ruined necessarily. It's not ideal for some things, I can tell you that. It's probably still get a few. This I used for my gargoyle soaps, which I made in June, and the dough's still fine, but the outside of it has been dried out. So there. And this is a camouflage or a khaki green mica I used. And I just thought it might be interesting in contrast with these, because this is all pastels. Okay, so I have an extruder loaded. I'm going to use these to make the stems. Kind of cool stems. These were from the unicorns. There. Okay. Okay. See what other I have in here. This is too thick. Great. Okay, so let's start with this one first. It's still a little bit tacky, but I think it'll be okay. Okay, so I want to show you. See where it's got a little bit of a crack there? Just roll over it, because it's still a little bit wet. You want to close those cracks up. And sometimes it has baffled me how these little, this is so little, this little tiny fuzz gets on there, but I can tell you that I'll see it in a picture, because what I can't see, my camera certainly can. Okay, so here we go. And I just roll it around. Now, if I wasn't making this tutorial, I would let this set for just a second longer. See how it gets sticky right in there? And I know that we can't all just set things down and leave them be. Sometimes we want to get on with it, so. So the pumpkins I made, which I probably would do this for these too, the pumpkins I made for the book, I dusted with gold mica. Now I like to make the stems a little bit flatter. I don't know if you could see that, a little bit flatter, because then I have less of a chance of them breaking off when I put them on top of a soap. Let's see how this one feels pretty nice. And see, that has a little bit of a crack in there. Just, it's no big deal, just smooth it right off. Don't ever let those cracks stop you. It's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to have that. Here's another option. See, if I just do this, finger's awesome for doing this. And you're going to get that shiny look to it too. Okay, so let me let that dry for a minute. Okay, so this is the older soap dough. It's not really old. I guess I said it, but it's not really old. They're all about the same age. It's dried out, I guess, is really what it is more dried out. There. And the other thing that's kind of cool about the pumpkins is, like, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, this is really dried out. It's still usable. I will use it because it's the only color I have. Like, there's the only piece that I have that's this color, and I like it. Okay, so there, see, it's dried out, but I pulled the moisture from the inside and put the other harder stuff on the ends, or pulled moisture from the inside out, and it just smooths right out. What I've noticed is if the soap dough isn't made correctly, you're never going to be able to get that back. It just will crumble once it starts getting old. And yeah, so there you go. So let's make a top for that. I want a stem for that. And then like I said, I like to. So the other thing that is really interesting about this, like making these unique colors, you can dust them with the actual color. These obviously I don't have any mixed colors like this because I mixed the dough. But this one, I think it's camouflage. I think it might be camouflage. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think it is camouflage because I know I put the same color soap dough. I made the gargoyles, and I put the same color soap dough on gargoyles on top of a soap that I used in camouflage, and the colors were the exact same. So I'm going to say it is camouflage. But what I was going to say also is that if I make enough of these, I might just dust them with camouflage mica And what happens is you get that little shimmer on the top, which is nice, and it'll never hit the skin. So people get worried about, oh, whatever the worry is, the fear is, it's irrelevant. As soon as you put it under, you can't even take a soap that's got mica dusted on top of it and get it wet and bubble it up and carry that mica to your skin. It's impossible. It washes off the very first time you put it under the running water. So it's just decoration. That's all it is. It's decoration, but that's all embellishments are too. There's no function to them. They're just decoration to get people interested in handmade soap. So there you go. So I let this cure just a bit right here, and you can see if I just roll it around, it's a nice clean line. Of course, it would be great if I did it straight. There we go. It's much harder than it seems. There. But now you can see how crooked that is. Oh well, it's just a pumpkin. It's just a soap pumpkin. There goes my mastery level right out the window. I like that little variegation of the orange on there. That's kind of cool. I didn't anticipate that. I just happened to have my extruder loaded full orange and pink. And I sort of like that. Okay, so let's do another one. I could feel this is still a bit tacky, so I'll be really careful. So let's do it this way, right across. Oops. See how it looks a little bit like wax at this point? There. So here we are, is one with a crack in it right here. Now, and when I first started making these pumpkins, I could spend hours making them look more realistic, and I realized, I just realized that wasn't as much fun as making, dusting them, making them look sort of magical. That was more fun to me than making them look realistic, but that's certainly an option. So this is the more solid soap dough, so let's see how that. So you see how I just drug it right there, and I got a little bit of drag marks right there. There. Now, this I'm going to share with you a little bit more advanced technique, but it's totally possible to do this at this stage of the game. I just can't show it to you because I haven't got any ready, but what you can do, what I've done, is to make a jack-o'-lantern, is let these set for a day. You can't do it at this stage of the game. Probably tomorrow, maybe the next day. Probably tomorrow, like so 24 hours, and just letting these cure a bit. Sorry, dry. Dry. Curing is a different process. So let these dry a bit. I mean, it starts the curing process, but curing is a much different process, right? I don't know. Anyway, whatever. So to let these dry a bit, so this time tomorrow maybe, or even the next day. And then what I've done is scrape out, here, let me see if I can do that. So scrape out a bit, and I'll show you. See, right now it's too soft, but when it's dry, I can scrape that out pretty cleanly and make shapes. And then just leave it. So, I don't know, say I'm gonna make this soap. I know people get excited and they wanna make their soaps right away, but let's say I make a whole host of pumpkins. And then I make them all, and then the next day I go back and I start making these shapes out of them. And so I'm doing this one, so I'll do this. See how it's all soft and whatnot? You're not going to get a clean edge that way. I go back tomorrow and I cut out little holes in my soap, in my pumpkin, and then let them dry again, and then come back at them maybe the third day and pack them full of soap, and then black, say, or orange, or whatever you want to use in there, and then scrape that off, and you're going to get that really sharp, clean eye or filled in gap, versus I've also made little cutouts and use water to glue them on the face, which is also very effective. However, it's different, so it's just an option. I thought I would share that with you. Anyway, here's hoping that you make many wonderful colored pumpkins this year for the autumn, and that we see tons of colorful pumpkin soaps. So I hope this helps. Tell me what you think in the comments and let me know your thoughts. Okay.